we projected every Power Four team's record. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Big 12 standings. Now, keep in mind, these are projected records, not predicted records. There is a difference. We have not gone and officially predicted every game yet. Stay tuned. That's coming up in just a few days. But the projected record is based on the percentage that we assigned for each team to win each game, and those all added up. So these aren't necessarily separated by, head to head or anything like that, simply by their projected conference record. So at the top of the conference, kind of like we would expect to see the top four teams in the Big 12, Arizona State, BYU, Iowa State, and Kansas State. Those are, in my opinion, the top four teams heading into the season.
Yep, they have one common denominator, and that's a returning quarterback from last year after very successful seasons. Expect to see them compete once again, but as we all know, the Big 12 is the conference of chaos, and that's where we see very little separation into our next tier, where we see Kansas, Texas Tech, Baylor, and TCU. Most of these teams as well also have starting quarterbacks returning. Baylor is Sawyer Robertson, TCU is Josh Hoover, Kansas is Jalen Daniels, and Texas Tech with Behren Morton. Again, like I said, with the top four teams, common denominator of a starting quarterback returning for another season is a huge asset, especially after all these teams were in the same position last year, except for Kansas. But I think Kansas just fell short of expectations and they're in for a bounce back season. I believe in Jalen Daniels. So this is going to be a very chaotic race for the top of the conference.
Yeah, and in my opinion, there's going to be a pretty decent gap here from those top half of the conference teams down to this bottom half. Maybe Colorado could make a push. A lot depends on Caden Salter, and how well he can adapt to this new Colorado scheme with Deion Sanders. But really, Cincinnati, Houston, Arizona, those three teams, I am pretty confident will finish in the bottom half.
Utah is a pretty interesting one. They've been a pretty disappointing team the last couple years. A lot of hype around them. They're usually starting the season off as a top 15 team, but end up losing a couple games earlier on and never make it back into the top 25. But I don't know. Maybe it's just the yearly thing where we overhype them, but they have a good transfer class coming in. With that being Devin Dampier coming in to be their starting quarterback, as well as Washington State running back Wayshawn Parker. I think this offense definitely can take some steps forward. We saw them compete in some games in the Big 12 last season, including that Holy War game at home that ended in controversial fashion. So I think Utah has potential to be in that high third tier or low second tier with like TCU. But that's if they have a perfect season without any injuries. If things go wrong, I think we're going to see them in this tier.
Yeah, I would definitely say Utah, out of these bottom eight teams, actually, is probably the one with the best chance to make a push into that, like you were saying, lower second tier. But the other three down here, West Virginia, UCF, and Oklahoma State, I think are due for pretty rough seasons. Maybe there's a chance at a bowl game for one of these schools, but I would say at least two out of the three are going to be right here at the bottom of the conference. So let's take a look at this hypothetical Big 12 conference championship. Arizona State and BYU does make it this season instead of Iowa State, just barely beating them out in the standings. So in this one, I really think that experience is what's going to make the difference. Sam Levitt back at quarterback for Arizona State, and he's been in this position before to go make the playoffs. I trust him to do it again.
Obviously, Arizona State is losing Cam Skattebo, who's a big focal point of their offense, but I think Sam Levitt is probably the best quarterback in the Big 12 next year. Jake Retzlaff is also very good, and I'm seeing a lot of hype for BYU next year, but I do think Arizona State showed a lot of promise last season, especially in the college football playoffs in their game against Texas. And considering a lot of the offense outside of Cam Skattebo is returning, I think they're going to be just as good as they were last season, even if they have to find a replacement for Cam Skattebo. So, thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more of our videos, and we will see you in the next one.